us. It's about predicting where the consumer is going and getting half of it right.
One of the things we want to do is create ads that don't suck.
Embracing change creates great possibility.
I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Today. Today on the show, we've got something different. 3 mini episodes released all on the same day. The first segment, we'll talk about cross-channel experiences and designing for those experiences. The second will be organizing for cross-channel experiences and focusing on how the creative department is structured to design across those experiences. And then third, we'll talk about perfecting email experience through design. Today on the show, I've got Molly Crawford, Vice President and Group Creative Director at Digitas, based in Atlanta, Georgia. Today on the show, we take on cross-channel design. What is it? As well as the considerations for creative. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Molly Crawford. Well, Molly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you work?
Sure. My name is Molly Crawford, and I'm the Group Creative Director at Digitas Atlanta.
Great. Well, we want to talk a lot about cross-channel design or cross-channel communications. How do you define that? And what does it look like when it's done right?
Yeah. So, I think as customers these days, we all have really high expectations. We go from, being on a company's website to getting an email from them to being in their app or seeing them in our social feeds, all the way to, physical touch points like being in the store or getting a receipt, interacting with a kiosk, or even, calling into the call center. And cross-channel design is a way to make sure that the customer feels like they have a consistently satisfying experience with the brand at all of those touch points every time they engage with that company.
Got it. So what do you think it looks like when it's done right?
I think when it's done right, the experience of interacting with that brand across all these channels, makes the customer like the brand more, makes them feel like the brand gets them, but they may not be really aware that it's because of this great experience they had. And oftentimes it's when it doesn't work or when there's a break in the chain that people notice those inconsistencies. So for a modern brand, doing cross-channel design well is really just what you need to be doing, because customers more often notice when it's not there than be able to articulate what they like about it when it is.
Got it. And so, when you're thinking about the ability to personalize messaging across all these various channels that we now have, what are the additional considerations or things that you should be thinking about as if you're a creative?
Sure. I think it's really important to think about the customer and their journey and their mindset. What they want to see while they're looking through their Instagram feed, for example, is probably really different than what they want to get out of an email confirmation. So really thinking about what the customer is looking for and how they want to interact in a brand in a specific channel is pretty important to keep in mind as a creative. So now customers are more than willing to share personal data with companies because they expect something in return. They expect a more personalized experience. Creatively and strategically, it's great to put ourselves in a customer's shoes, or even think about yourself as a customer and know where that line is between being informed and being invasive or creepy. We really want to use that information that a customer shares with us for good. So having that ability to personalize, on a nearly one-to-one basis gives a channel like email a ton of creative potential and a cool factor that can really often fly under the radar. My team that I work with I'm lucky to have that team that kind of geeks out over that potential of what great email can do. And it's those kind of opportunities that we as consumers really love and admire about a brand. But from an industry perspective, it's not necessarily as glamorous, but I do think seeing those opportunities to really connect with people with that information is making a difference and starting to change how we think about it.
Well, we've been talking a little bit about the various channels, with all the different channels that exist today. How do you balance consistency, but catering to that specific channel's needs?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that should be immovable. I think your brand voice and who you are really should just be who you are. That should probably stay consistent. Photography can be something to reinforce a brand across channels, as can, colors and graphic cues. A content strategy is also really key. Looking at the messages that you're putting across each channel is really important. Something like an email should be helpful, or at least, enticing. Social should feel like stuff you just want to see and want to consume in a really quick hit, unless you, of course, want to dive down that rabbit hole, and then you should have an experience there for that customer that does want to engage further. Web content is generally intuitive and immersive, really understanding kind of all the messages in the market at the same time and how they interact with each other and what is important to the customer where they are is really important to giving them a seamless experience, and being very consistent with who your brand is and what they stand for and what products you're trying to put in front of them is key.
Got it. So as we think about email, and you talked about your team is excited about what they can do with email, what are some personalization tactics beyond just knowing the subscriber's name that work best in your mind?
Sure. So some things that we're finding to be really successful is location data. It's, been very effective in getting people to increase their engagement rates. Even just acknowledging where they are or the city they live in increases interaction. Context around recent purchases is also very compelling. Knowing people have recently made a purchase with your brand or have engaged in a search is something that will then drive them to kind of engage further. You're already kind of top of mind there. And then retargeting around past searches across email and social, we're seeing that to be very effective with different degrees of information in each channel. You put more personal information in the one-to-one channel in email and maybe a little less so in social, but seeing those messages in multiple places at the same time is definitely driving engagement.
Gotcha. Anything just kind of in follow-up, or is there anything, kind of watch outs you would advise folks to just be cognizant of as they're trying to personalize email?
I think using people's information wisely, keeping private information in private channels like email is something that is really important. Have the ability to reach people in social and in display and in larger channels, but not crossing that line to where you're displaying too much information that may not be the right thing to say in a public setting. So just keeping that in mind of using it to enhance the experience, but you don't have to kind of show all your hands or show your hand of what you know in every case.
Got it. Good. Well, switching gears, I love to get to know the person behind the microphone, so to speak. And I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. And in that vein, got a kind of quick question, I guess. If you were to give yourself, your younger self, advice, what would you give them?
Oh boy, I'd say opening yourself up to opportunities is really important. Starting out and not be so worried about the journey that you're supposed to take. I know I went to, ad school and, there was very much this kind of upper echelon of agencies and things that meant, you made it. But I think now there's a lot of different paths people can take and use their talents to create great experiences for folks. So I think just being more willing to play to your strengths and your skills, be willing to experiment, even if that means failing at times, is just great to kind of push the boundaries and learn where you want to be and where you want to take your career. And I guess last, I would say maybe don't ride a mechanical bull on your first business trip away. Probably wouldn't do that again, but it didn't seem to do too much damage.
Oh, wow. There's a story there. I don't know if you want to share, but there's a story for sure.
It's really more innocent than it seems, but it definitely was something in retrospect. I was like, that was probably not the best idea.
I love it. What's your best source of information, your go-to source of information? There's so much out there today.
Absolutely. And, something I really rely on is our experience design team here at Digitas. We have a Slack channel, and it is so full of great links and stories and studies and work that people just post. We just have a huge mix of folks on our team, really future thinking nerds and innovation tech geeks, design perfectionists, advertising purists, you name it. We just have a great conversation going with everybody kind of posting things that strike them on a daily basis. So I kind of mind that and just really get a sense of what different people from all kind of sides of our world are looking at.
Wow, that's a good resource. Last thing, just have a little fun. One thing you love and one thing you hate or despise, if you don't like hate.
I love rearranging furniture. I think that's kind of part of my never settle on something, always see if you can kind of make something better. One thing I hate, I don't really like ambivalence. I like people to have an opinion and a point of view. And I also really don't like hard-boiled eggs.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Hi, it's Alan again. Marketing Today was created and produced by me, with writing and editing by Kevin Greeley, social media support by Megan Woods, art and graphic design by Sarah Dell. If you're new to Marketing Today, please feel free to write us a review on iTunes or your favorite listening platform. Don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. I love to hear from listeners, and you can contact me at marketingtodaypodcast.com. There you'll also find complete show notes with links to anything we talk about on any episode. You can also search our archives. I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Today.